Today is a critical video. We will cover 3 super important things. Finally, we have some clues to the next Bitcoin move. I have busted China's strategy for blockchain. MKBHD slaughtered the Solana phone today. And I have, as usual, a completely different take than almost everyone else. Let's start from the bottom. Marquez, MKBHD, is in my opinion the best reviewer of consumer tech on the planet. With the title, "This is a crypto phone, don't buy it." He started the video with this.
I know I have been notably skeptical on crypto and Web3 and blockchain and the metaverse and all that sort of stuff over the past couple of years.
And ended the video with this.
But now instead, this becomes the perfect embodiment of crypto in 2023. At best, ahead of its time. But at worst, completely useless to most everyday people.
And in between he had of course a very accurate professional review of this phone, highlighting that the camera is bad and that the crypto features are not that useful to most people. We talked about this Solana phone months ago on DCA, and I think it was James who asked me what I thought, if it would sell. And I think I was even more brutal. Now, I think there are 2 important takes here. One where I completely agree with Marquez, and one where I think he possibly misses the point. First, where we agree. Marquez comes to this from the perspective of consumer technology. What is useful in everyday life, right now? Should you buy this right now and use it? I've said this many times. Crypto is not ready today for mass adoption, not in its native form, where people actually use the blockchain. It's ready for investing in crypto, where you go to coinbase.com or download the Binance app on your phone to buy or sell. That is user-friendly enough. But to replace the current financial system with a native public blockchain-based system, the technology is not there yet. Comparing with mobile phones, Apple will announce the iPhone 15 tomorrow. I often show you this picture from 1987 and say that I think blockchain technology is somewhere here in terms of maturity today. This is not me, by the way, not even I am that old. I'm not showing this picture to laugh on blockchain technology. On the contrary, I'm trying to say don't laugh too hard on blockchain yet, because this mobile thing, believe me, everyone laughed when these guys said that everyone might have a mobile phone in the future. When this thing weighed a ton and cost like a car and there was no coverage. So Marquez is right that blockchain is not mainstream consumer tech today. But I think he misses the point with the phone. When we built mobile data, you know, the 4G, 5G that everyone on the planet uses today, first we built 2G mobile data called GPRS. Some of you are too young to even remember that. Then the advanced version of that was called Edge, like the bleeding edge of technology. Teenagers today think that if it appears an E on the phone, now it stands for error. But before Edge, when we only had GPRS, Ericsson built this phone. It had GPRS, it had Bluetooth, because we had invented that too at Ericsson, and its protocol WAP, because GPRS was simply too slow to run regular HTTP HTML. Ericsson released this in 2020 and started to ship final versions in 2021. Ericsson at that time was manufacturing phones, but even at that time, that wasn't the main business. The biggest phone manufacturer then was our friends at the Finnish company Nokia, already since the 90s. Ericsson did this phone for another reason, to showcase what the network technology could do, because Ericsson's big business was the networks, same as it is today. And just for clarity, I don't work there since more than half a decade. I'm just explaining how the world works. Ericsson produces the 5G networks, you know, the thing that is in the other end of your iPhone 15, making it work. Ericsson perfectly knew that this phone isn't going to become a mass market device. But if we don't showcase what is possible, no one might take $1 billion bet on this crazy idea that mobile data might become a thing. Because it was not a thing back then. The MKBHD of that time would have said that this is pretty useless for most people. And they would have been correct. At this time, today, when it's Apple, the once rebellious, pushing boundaries company, is now the mainstream and blocking much of the useful native crypto functionality from the App Store. Ex-App Store director, Apple had a problem with crypto from day one. And maybe you remember this from just a couple of months ago. Bitcoin-friendly Damus app, after weeks of fighting, got the decision that they will remain on Apple App Store, but they had to remove one of the key core features. So this app was warned by Apple that it faced expulsion from the App Store if it persisted in facilitating the acceptance of zaps, which was tips using Bitcoin's Lightning Network, on content posts circumventing Apple Pay. In the end, they compromised here, but they can only stay after removing a core feature of the app. And this got a lot of attention, including from Jack, former Twitter CEO. Why doesn't Apple Pay support Bitcoin, Tim Cook? I think the Solana team is doing exactly the right thing, to build the device end-to-end, taking control of all aspects of the user experience, just like Apple has always done when innovating new user experiences to show what is possible. Then once that is good enough, which I think blockchain is not today for your average grandma, then it's step 2 to get this into the existing software ecosystems, working with other vendors. The equivalent of pushing those GPRS features into more consumer-oriented phones and get the entire 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G saga going, which is now arguably the biggest technology of all time, with 8 billion paying subscriptions. Fun fact is that at the time it was me personally doing that. I was responsible for the interoperability, so I can talk about this from personal experience. This is how it's done in an industry. This is not MKBHD's focus, but that is the point with this device. I have no affiliation with this phone. I hold no Solana sold token exposure right now. Not promoting or pushing anything out of self-interest, so you can save yourself that comment and type something else in the comments instead. Let's continue up the agenda from the back. China's strategy for blockchain. I've shared 3 tweets about China today. Before that, by the way, have you watched this video? Do you want a free iPhone? Everyone? Not just one of you? Then watch this video. I'll link it here as well. In the meantime, back to China. Chinese fintech giant Ant Group launches overseas blockchain brand Zen. So while China sort of banned Bitcoin, they are fully supporting China's most important tech companies. Both Ant Group, the parent company of Alipay, and Tencent, the developer of the Giga app WeChat, are heavily investing in blockchain technology. Now hold that thought and let's check the next tweet. And let's see if you can see the pattern here yourself. We had this China bans iPhone news 2 days ago, right? Which caused this massive drop in Apple stock. By the way, I mentioned this inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? That reached its target perfectly on the dollar. And now this pattern has probably played out its role when we broke below the right shoulder. New setup from here. But back to the news and what China's strategy is. This article reads, conventional wisdom suggests that it may be a move to boost the homegrown Huawei's first 5G phone. And believe me, this strategy I know very well firsthand. When we built those mobile networks, Huawei basically tried to copy everything we did. Even cable labels that were abbreviations in Swedish, they copied and said it was a coincidence. I'm telling you guys, China's strategy with blockchain is this. They learn, study and replicate the technology from the West while banning the products and companies and organizations. Copy search engine technology, ban Google, push Baidu. Copy social media technology, ban Facebook, make that a WeChat feature. Copy mobile phone technology, ban iPhones, push Oppo, Chinese company, Vivo, Chinese company, Honor, I wasn't actually sure, but it's Chinese company. Then comes Apple 15%, then it's Xiaomi, Chinese company, Huawei, Chinese company, and others. And at Ericsson we definitely felt that as well when I worked there, that there was a conscious strategy to learn, replicate the technology, while reducing market share for the Western companies in order to push or facilitate the domestic copy. And I think China is doing exactly the same thing here. They perceive that Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, XRP, USDC, Cardano, Dogecoin, Solana, the entire list are Western run. And yes, also BNB. CZ is Canadian. The Chinese government has no control over him. So I think China's strategy is to learn the technology, replicate it, ban the Western products, if you so call it, and then at the final stage push the domestic products. So the Western politicians who said, look, China is banning Bitcoin, we should do it too, haven't understood anything, even though the game as a whole is very clear to them. And that was my third tweet today. US importing more from Mexico than China for the first time since 2003. I think for most politicians the game is pretty clear as a whole. That's why this aggressiveness from the SEC and some US politicians on the whole blockchain industry is so unfortunate from a US perspective, because the US really has the lead in this technology, so don't go into the same trap again now. Then you're putting your chess pieces right in front of them to take. Again. Now we reach the top of the agenda before an important announcement for those of you who actually possess attention span beyond the average TikTok user. Now we have some clues to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is measured in US dollar. This chart is Bitcoin USD. There is a denominator here. If USD gets stronger, this number gets less. And we have two clues to that. DXY, the US dollar index, and the US government bonds 2-year yield. I've talked about this in our Friday TA reports for months. Now it's happening. DXY has now come closer to this resistance level. And if DXY rejects here or a little higher and starts heading down here, we can get pump fuel for Bitcoin. There is a higher chance for rejection because it's resistance. And if you look at the other chart, US02Y, if you want to find it in TradingView, it has already rejected at resistance. And so far, this rejection holds. And if these rejections do happen, I think we get a pump in BTC, which could take us to the range highs at 30K. And now the fire truck is out, so better pay attention. Now, if this is to play out, it's very possible that some whale will try to run the stops first. So what does that mean? That means that you run the price down to hit people's stop losses, faking everyone to sell or even short, and then run it back. That's different from a breakout that holds and then retests and rejects, turning a key support into resistance. So how to tell those two cases apart? There's no sure way to do it, that's why that technique works. So one defense is to only use daily close, like I do in Large Online Pro, so not use the intraday prices at all. Many of these are wicks, this is a wick, here we had wicks, but sometimes the rejection comes on the next day, so it's not sure proof, but it would have worked, for example, here. The second defense is to really discuss this when it happens and just try our best to tell the difference, which we do in the Discord. Because if these reject DXY and the bonds rejection holds, I think the first move down here can be a fake, not a real breakout. Now, I wrote in today's Friday TA report that if these break out instead, if DXY breaks out and the 2-year yield breaks out, then definitely panic. Because then I think we're going down for real. One thing that I hadn't realized until today, thanks to Ed sharing that, thanks for that, the last time that DXY broke 106, so if we go back in time until here and we extend this 106 line, we see that the last time that broke out beyond 106 was actually at the exact point that the dot-com bubble burst in year 2000. And if you think stock markets have been crazy now or during COVID, during 2000, Nasdaq retraced 78.4%, almost 80% down. And I can assure you there was a lot of skepticism against this crazy mobile data thing we were trying to build. So if the dollar index and the 2-year yield starts breaking out, guys, I think high risk that Bitcoin will break out too from its tight range on the downside. But so far, these big boys, DXY and 2-year yield, are holding the door.
Hold the door!
And if they reject the White Walker fiat, we might get a real pump in BTC here. At this point of the video, most people have stopped watching. They won't make it anyway. So now I'll say the more important and little more advanced part of this video. We don't know what the market is up to here. It's a difficult stretch in the market. Experienced traders say this is one of the trickiest parts of the market in decades, with constant fake-outs in all directions. The best way to play this is not to take big bets on either direction, because we are not trending here. Moves are small in a tight range, and I can virtually guarantee you that trending price action will be back in both directions. Easy stretches like these, like this, like this move down, where we have trending price action doing multiple X moves in a perfect confluence of trend as proxied by Larson line and chart patterns pointing in the same direction as proxied by classical charting. In comparison, that is easy money. This isn't it. This is difficult. So position size is really the tool to use here, not predicting direction, while we're just bouncing around in the range. No one knows in which direction it will break out. But this can change fast. Now it feels like this consolidation will go on forever, but I can promise you it won't. So the real advice here is this: don't lose your money during this stretch, and don't get bored and quit either. Be ready when it happens. Then be razor fast, be confident, take big action when action is due. That is not the time to start learning. Then you'll miss it. Guaranteed. Now is the time to double down on mastering the game and get ready. I will raise the price of my course with Lars Online in BTC because I never intended this to be a discount, and now it is. This price is supposed to be 2,888, but if you take 0.09 BTC at current Bitcoin price, that is only $2,300. So price needs to go to 0.11 BTC, which will be a 22% increase in the BTC price. I will give everyone until Sunday evening for that. So if you, like me, think this is a perfect time to study, that could be a good idea. I often get this feedback: why are you selling the indicator? I'm not selling the indicator. I'm selling a course. You get the indicator free with the course. Same as the TA report every Friday. Same as the Discord access. Also free. I just want that people know how to use it. The indicator is just a tool. We also need to understand how to use it, and when to use a hammer and when to use a saw. Don't fall for the scammers and impersonators. The only place you can get my course is at ctolarsson.com, then press course and indicator. I'll also link it here on the end screen. Thank you, tack. CTO Larsson out. Hej då!